some data just coming out from a monkey trial of this vaccine that you're developing with Oxford last week. And what it showed is that it looked like it did keep the monkeys who were vaccinated from getting pneumonia, but there was still virus detectable in their nose. So it did seem like they got infected. And William Hazelton wrote a piece about it saying, did the Oxford vaccine work in monkeys? Not really. So tell us about your confidence level based on seeing those data that this vaccine will work in people.
All right, Meg, first of all, it's very good to be with you today. What I will say to this is that the person who wrote, the author of this article, should know that this kind of debate takes place in scientific magazines, not in Forbes magazine, and they honestly should have realized you don't compare studies that are not head-to-head studies. So in this instance, the monkeys received only one dose of vaccine, and they were exposed to enormous challenges of enormous quantities of viruses. And this enormous challenge, of course, left them with a little bit, some of them a bit of virus in their nose, but none of them developed pneumonia. None of them developed signs of lung infection. So it may actually be that this vaccine necessitates 2 injections, a booster injection in some patients. But at the end of the day, the clinical data is where the truth will be found. And our phase 1/2 study is going very well. We're going to, we believe, start phase 3 at the beginning of next month. And at the end, we will know the results at the end of the summer, probably in August, through human data in a very large study of 10,000 patients in the UK and another one of 30,000 patients in the United States.
Wow, so you're planning on starting phase 3 at the beginning of next month in early June?
Yes, actually, we are planning to start the UK 10,000 phase 3 study in June, and the US 30,000 patient study would start probably in July, so a little bit later. The UK started earlier, but more or less in the same time frame, and we hope to have results by August. But of course, just like any other vaccine trial, we're going to be impacted by how much disease there is, because you need infections to be able to show a difference between the vaccinated group and the control group. So we will have to make sure we go to regions of the United States where there's still a lot of infections, the same in the UK. But we hope that by the end of August, we will have the results.
And you've announced news today with support from the U.S. government, from BARDA, more than $1 billion, and a guarantee, if this vaccine works, to deliver 300 million doses to the U.S. by October. And I understand also you had made an agreement with the UK government to deliver 30 million doses by September. Does the BARDA funding enable you to deliver more than that, or will you still need more funding?
Well, let me first say that the Operation Warp Speed is actually working. It is a fantastic idea, and I would like to thank the administration, and in particular, I would like to thank Secretary Azar, who has been very instrumental in all those efforts. And his leadership is a leadership that will serve well the American people, but also serve well the world, because the studies we are doing in the US and the investment we make in manufacturing the vaccine will, of course, go to American citizens, American people, but it will definitely help also the rest of the world. So the United States is really showing tremendous leadership in tackling this tremendous disease head-on. So my hope is that the whole world will actually follow on and really engage and also invest similar amounts of money so we can rapidly bring a vaccine to the American people and the rest of the world.
One of the concerns with people in the public health community is that the rich countries will line up vaccine first for their citizens and that the poor countries will be left behind. You do say that you're working with Gavi, the World Health Organization, CEPI, to talk about access around the world. But when you have the funding from the rich countries and then you're guaranteeing delivery to them first, is that essentially what's going to happen?
Yeah, well, let me say first that we have set up separate supply chains around the world. One for the United States, exclusively for the US. One in Europe, for Europe and the rest of the world. We're looking at partnering in India with the Serum Institute of India to manage this very big population. We're looking for a specific solution for China also. So there will not be competition between countries and geography. We will have enough supply for every country. Now, the vaccine costs very little. We are doing this at no profit during the pandemic. It's going to cost a few dollars. It's going to be really very, very easy to afford for the middle and high-income countries. And for the low-income countries, we're working with global organizations like CEPI, Gavi, that are supported in particular by the Gates Foundation and many other countries to help those low-income countries get access to the vaccine. So I really have no concern that access will be an issue from a financial viewpoint. The only issue, of course, will be industrial capacity. Can we produce enough of this vaccine to help everybody? And that's what we're working 24/7 to achieve.
Right. And just one last question very quickly. When will we see the first human data?
Well, we will have our phase 1/2 data. We have a 1,000 patients phase 1/2 data that we'll read out late this month, early June. We haven't decided where we will present these results. But on the back of these results, we will start our phase 3. And basically, the phase 3 data will be available probably in September, because we're working hand in hand with the regulator in the UK, the MHRA, but also importantly, we're working hand in hand with the FDA to really go through the regulatory process very quickly, so we can use the emergency use process that exists in the United States, and the data will be available around September. We are doing the manufacturing in parallel to this, and we're doing it at risk, because the only way to have the vaccine ready to go when we have the data is to manufacture in the meantime, in parallel to running the clinical trials. And again, I think it is really important for the American people to understand that the administration is taking a tremendous leadership here, in particular Secretary Azar, because without their support, it would not be possible to invest in the manufacturing in parallel to the clinical trials.